So let me ask you this. What methods do you guys use to improve as a player? And do you think that would work for many players, or is it something you specifically designed to make just to work for you? Comment down below to let us know what your methods are to improve, and that question is exactly what this video is going to be about. 5 tips I use to improve myself to Challenger, and I'm going to be giving out all my methods to you guys so you can use them too and start improving. But before we begin, when it comes to making guides, we are top tier contenders for the best content creators. But we're also top contenders as discount givers as well. Use the link in the description below to take advantage of our 50% discounts to get more guides just like this one. You'll get access to all of our guides, all made by Challenger players, chock full of different champ matchups, roles, and concepts that you will need to know in order to climb. So what are you waiting for? Start by improving now. The first tip I'm going to be giving you guys is VOD reviewing. VOD reviewing basically means you're watching a replay of a game that you or someone else played, and you're reviewing to see how they played it, why they play it like that, and why did they do certain actions that maybe you wouldn't have done, or why did you do? It's all of the above. So when it comes to VOD reviewing, you might ask yourself, where should I find my VODs? Or where should I find other people's VODs? Well, there's VODs practically everywhere. There's streamers that stream on Twitch. You can look on your own client to look at your own gameplay, or you can use what Riot gives you, which is ProView. Sure, it costs a little bit of money, but ProView allows you to see how a pro player plays on the stage. That is the most correct form of League of Legends when it comes to looking up replays. So use any of those 3 to help you out. When it comes to looking at VODs, there are different things that you should look for. If you are a beginner, then start by looking out for these 3 basic concepts. Look at the champ select, look at what the players do as a general concept, and look at why they want. To explain the champ select, the one thing that everyone mainly looks for when they're playing League of Legends is, what is a counter pick in champ select so I can have the easiest time against this character? And so you can look for that. So let's say if you're watching a mid laner stream. So let's say someone picks Zoe on the enemy team, and you're watching your streamer and you notice they pick Kassadin. You have to wonder, why did they pick Kassadin, right? Well, Kassadin scales and outscales Zoe. We already know that because Kassadin's level 16 is really scary. Kassadin also has a silence, which can also deal damage to Zoe from afar because it gives him a magic shield, which all of Zoe's damage is pretty much magic damage. Another reason why is because Kassadin has very strong base magic resist. That is another example as to why he picked Kassadin into Zoe, and Kassadin's ulti helps him gap close against Zoe, where Zoe really doesn't want anyone coming close to her. You establish those 3 reasoning and go, oh, that's why this streamer picked Kassadin into Zoe, and you can use that knowledge and apply it to different champions, different matchups, and different roles. As for looking at general gameplay of what the pro player does or the high elo streamer does, you want to look for, why did they make this play here? Why did they go for this CS? Let's keep going with the example of Kassadin versus Zoe. The reason why Kassadin actually you need to look really deep into, and when they pick Zoe, is Zoe is still a ranged champion. She still has poke advantage with her auto attack and her long range Q until Kassadin hits level 6. So you'll notice why the pro player or streamer goes Doran's Shield, or they'll go Corrupting Potion, and why they choose to give up some CS to preserve HP, and so they'll be at higher HP percentages to all in Zoe at a later level or later stage of the game. You have to examine those reasons, as well as, why did Kassadin take a base here? Is it because it's a cannon wave? Is it because he has a wave stacked up and it's a free base? Is there a jungler nearby? You have to think of all these concepts in order to realize what's going on in the pro player's head. And lastly, you must figure out, how did that player win the game? So again, we're going to keep the running concept of Kassadin versus Zoe. What concept did this Kassadin player use to beat the Zoe? Did he scale into the late game? Did he play teamfights really well? Why did he group with his team instead of splitting? Why did he split instead of grouping? You must know all of these deduction skills in order to figure out, why did this player win the game? And if you can't figure that out, then if you keep watching, I'm sure if you just look very, very closely, you'll eventually figure out why. These are basics for looking at VOD reviews and looking at VODs in general. All high elo players look at VODs in order to learn from their past mistakes and learn some new tips and tricks from pro players. Not everyone's perfect, and a true master is someone who keeps on learning. My second tip that I will give you guys is by getting coached. Getting coach is quite pricey sometimes. It can range from the price of $10 or $20 or $20 to $50. It all depends on the pedigree of the coach, how long they've been challenger, what their profession is, and what do they specialize in. Everyone's different, everyone coaches differently, but the point is you must get coached if you want to become a better player, as they are the better player and you want to get their insight on how to become just like them, right? So what I did in the past is I actually went to Prismal, which is 150's Academy's AD carry. I went to Aerostream, who used to be a LCK AD carry and also an NALCS AD carry, and those two helped me a lot in order to even go from 300 LP to Challenger in just a few seasons ago. Now comes another question. What can I do to get coaching from these players, or where do I find them? Well, let's start back with our previous tip, how to get VOD reviews. Well, when you VOD review a Twitch streamer, chances are, if they're a high elo streamer, sometimes they'll offer coaching. So you can go to the Twitch stream, ask them in Twitch chat, donate and ask if they will coach you, or just look in their about section below in their bio to see if they offer coaching already in their FAQs. Another method is by going on twitter.com if you have a social media and DMing them and see if they'll respond. They get tons of DMs, so don't be discouraged if they don't respond. They're all very busy people and I'm pretty sure they get asked to coach a lot of times and they're trying to manage their way through them. So allow me to show you guys some of the streamers that I personally like to watch and I think you should get coaching from. These range from all roles, so for top lane, I recommend Max Waldo. He was coached by LS. LS is a very well-known coach that was also a caster in the LCK. He's very knowledgeable, he just came back to NA, and he's very happy to help anyone of all skill levels. For jungle, there's popular streamers such as I'm Tarzan, or my personal friend who's a challenger jungler, I'm Doubtful. For mid lane, you can go to a very popular streamer known as Quantum. He is very useful and very educational. He's also very chill and he's almost always 1000 LP and he does offer coaching, says in his bio below. For AD, you can go to Saber, who is the known AD carry coach, or you can use Arrow, who is a very lesser known streamer, but he's very educational. Once again, LCK AD carry and XNA LCS. Or you can even use me and you put a comment down below and I can respond to it. For support, you can use Joey, who is ex-Team Liquid's Academy support and did play at LCS at one point in time. I'll put the Twitch links for all of these streamers and coaches down below for you to message them. And let's not forget, LS also coaches still, and you can still ask him to coach once in a while whenever he does offer it. The third tip that I use for improving from a bronzy to a challenger is I always honed in on singular concepts per game. So for one game, I could be focused on getting perfect farm, constantly getting 10 CS per minute, and every single moment in that game, I am constantly farming if I am not fighting, basing, or farming a jungle camp. Another concept is I could be focusing on trading. I could always be looking for how to get a good trade off, whether it be timing their summoner spells, timing their normal abilities, and walking up to trade with them, just making sure that I always get the better trade whenever we both walk away from it. Another concept is team fighting. I could be looking at how I could have played team fights better, how I can be positioning better, how I can be just dealing out more damage by the end of the team fight, and if I am the main reason my team won that fight. And lastly, another concept is positioning and warding. Positioning comes with the fact of macro movements where should I be mid, should I be top, should I be bot, should I be farming from the bot camp so the top camp is here a jungler, should I be on dragon side, baron side, all of that. And for supports, there's things such as warding for concepts where you should always be looking to find places to ward, making sure that you pink ward correct places, deny the enemy team vision at the correct times, and making sure you are keeping defense of your wards and not giving them up for free. Each of these concepts is something you need to focus on in order to improve as a player no matter what role you play. Farming applies to all three laners and junglers, trading applies to literally everyone, team fighting applies to literally everyone, positioning applies to literally everyone, and warding, while it's mainly on support, it applies to, you guessed it, literally everyone. You are no excuse when it comes to warding. I can't say this enough, but everyone needs to play their part in this. It's like the cleanup game. So, to go into details of each of these concepts and how you can get better, allow me to explain them one by one. For farming, this is really easy. Go into practice tool, farm your lane phase for about 10 minutes, making sure you're missing as little CS as possible. You are not allowed to leave that practice tool or stop playing practice tool until you get at least 100 CS or 90 CS by 10 minutes. Once you do that, then you can finally leave, And then as for the out of lane farming, make sure that you are always conscious when you're playing a normal game, ranked game, or even an ARAM that you are always farming, making sure that your CS is the highest in the game. So for trading, this one's a little bit harder. It mainly comes with the fact of how aggressive do you want to play and how well do you know your champions compared to theirs. This requires a lot of studying and a lot of limit testing in order for you to know what your damage output will be. So for example, let's say you are Caitlyn and you're versus an Ezreal. When Ezreal uses his Q, that is your opportunity to start trading with him, as that will mean you have a better trade because he does not have an ability up and you can outrange him with your autos. Another example is if you're playing Renekton into Ornn. If Ornn uses his W Bellows Breath, that is his big trading ability that allows for you to E in, auto WQ, and E out, and you've won the trade. For mid lane, same concept. If Zoe uses her Paddle Star Q and her ulti and you're Kassadin after she uses her Q, you can just R in, blow your entire combo, and there's little chance that you will lose that trade. So that's how you get better at trading. For team fighting, it all depends on what your role in the team fight is. If you are a top lane tank, then you must know that your job is to peel your carries and make sure that you are at the front of the fight, dealing as much damage as possible while tanking the most as well and getting all the pressure onto you. If you are a mid laner that's a mage or a ADC, then your job is to continuously pump out as much damage as possible from a safe distance. From support, your job is to peel or go in depending on who you're playing. If you're Thresh, you might have to do both. You can engage with your hook, or you can peel with your box and your lantern and your flay for your backline carries. For your jungler, that's up in the air because there's all different kinds of junglers. For positioning, this is all going to be about macro, which is way too much to explain in a tiny concept of this video. But you can find out where to be on the map and all these macro movements on our website at GameLeap.com. These are very, very good tips that we will give you on where to be on the map, why you should be there on the map, and what you can do on the map in that position. For warding will go along the same as positioning, as that is a lot to cover in just a single part of a video. So once again, hop over to our site, GameLeap.com, and we will have tons of videos for you guys to learn where to ward, why to ward, when to ward, and how to defend your wards. For my fourth tip, it'll be take notes of previous games. This is a concept that I actually took from ex-pro player and streamer Skara. Back then, when Skara was still a professional player, he would always have this notepad beside his League client that always had matchups such as, or whichever game he plays, like, okay, game 1, Katarina versus Cassiopeia. And he'll put a note as to what he did to win the lane, what happened for him to lose the lane, and maybe an event that played a very big part in the outcome of the game. So you want to take notes on what allowed you to win, such as if you took a really good trade, what allowed you to lose, such as if you made a really bad trade, or you gave up a CS or 2 waves, or you died somewhere, or what do you think you could have improved on, such as could I have moved to bot lane earlier? Could I have roamed faster? Should I have stayed in lane? Why did I burn my TP? Why did I try to fight here? And how did you feel about the matchup? So top lane, let's say you're playing Camille into Renekton, which is Camille's worst matchup. You can be like, oh, I felt really bad because I couldn't do anything. So next time, you'll put that on your notepad and you'll be like, oh, the enemy picked Renekton. The one champion I should not pick will be Camille. Same thing applies for mid lane. Oh, I picked Kassadin into Talon. Talon is very good into Kassadin, as Kassadin does not like anyone who is AD or an assassin, and that means you lose the matchup and you feel really bad. Or you can have instances where you pick Lucian into Ezreal, and that is a really good matchup for you because you actually have a lot of kill pressure on him and you can deal a lot of damage and you out trade him, out all in him. The only thing you don't do is out poke him, but that's why you go for the all ins. You want to put all of these things in your notes little by little so you can look past at them, and at the end of the day of your rank spree, you try to get all the information and improve on what you did do last game or what you didn't do last game. And for my last tip on how to improve, I want you guys to never get complacent. No matter what, I have also had this problem, and I still have this problem to this day, but I'm constantly working on it. There will be times where I get to a certain rank or when I start losing a lot of games and I go, oh my god, I don't belong in this ELO. Oh my god, I was not the reason we lost this game. Or oh my god, I am the greatest player of all time. The reason why I always have to shut that idea down, whether it's good or bad, is because I have this one idea in mind. If I lose a game and I don't think it's my fault, if I think to myself, man, if Uzi was in my position instead of me, I bet Uzi would have won this game. I bet Doublelift would have won this game. For mid laners, you could have bet that Faker would have won this game in your elo in your shoes. So you have zero reason to blame your teammates, zero reason to blame anyone but yourself, because you can only help yourself. As I said earlier in the video, the old school corny saying, a true master is someone who is an eternal student. Everyone who keeps on learning is the reason why they keep getting better. I'm pretty sure even Faker knows that even though he is the icon of League of Legends, known as the unkillable Demon King, he still knows that there's a lot to learn that he can take from everyone playing at Worlds. So if even Faker knows that he can still learn and get better at the game, why are you guys getting complacent? You shouldn't. You guys should always look to improve. Keep on trying to use all of these tips to get challenger, and once you're challenger, you should go for rank 1, and once you're rank 1, maybe keep going even further than that. But before we get ahead of that, let's focus on improving in general and get into the right mindset. This is what you need to do in order to improve and become a better player. These are my 5 tips. At one point in time, every challenger player, pro player, anyone who was ever good at anything competitive, whether it was basketball, football, any athletic, poetry, something, was bad, including me as well. I started playing League in season 1, and it took me until season 7 to hit high elo. During that time, I used these tips to improve and grind my way to the top almost every day. If I can go from a bronze 600 elo to a season 10 challenger player, I firmly believe you can too. So go out there and start improving. Just a reminder before we end the video, make sure to go into the description below to use the link to get a 50% off discount when you sign up for our membership. And don't forget to check out all the stream links below so you guys can get coaching, learn from the VODs, and make sure that you maybe build a connection with the streamer and get a little bit friendly with them. There's no such thing as losing in this situation, as you are just trying to gain knowledge and become a better player. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope to see you guys higher elo on the Rift.